Josh and Tyson, local filmmakers from the area, were looking to get a different perspective on the valley.
Okay, so I have to know,
what inspired you both to do a documentary on the Ottawa Valley?
Tell us the scoop. Just a couple of Valley friends, a love for their community.
Fire that up.
And a vision to give people a platform to share their stories from our hometown.
We make awesome movies.
Filmmakers Tyson Berger and Josh Murphy are from the area.
The project, nearing completion, is set to be released in 2021.
It's about the stories of the people living in the Ottawa Valley.
The documentary isn't really the typical kind of documentary.
Kind of like reshape my thinking about what a movie can be. It's like a series of vignettes of interviews of people.
It had a lot of stereotypical ideas of the Valley. Is like I was seeing that I was wrong about a lot of my assumptions. So my interest with the documentary was to capture that. This is a diverse, interesting place. It can't be painted with one brush.
The heart of the valley.
The heart of the valley.
The heart of the valley.
A new documentary called The Heart of the Valley is coming out this summer.
Congratulations to you both on the success of this event and everything that you have planned with your projects in the future.
Josh and I kind of talked about how documentary is a really good place to start out as filmmakers.
Nice, it's good to see you.
Hi, long time.
Long time no see.
We definitely didn't just set up all this equipment.
This is just the way it looks for us.
Josh, I asked you to come here today to see if I could ask you a couple questions about the movie we filmed, The Heart of the Valley.
The Heart of the Valley, I remember shooting that with you.
Do you have a second?
I have a few.
Why did you make this movie?
Pembroke means a lot of different things to me. You know, the Valley is, to me, both a place of comfort and kind of frustration, I think. And I think part of that kind of comes from this feeling, maybe a little bit of trappedness because the comfort, you know.
100%.
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
Right, and just kind of returning to the Valley repeatedly throughout my life. Never really fully investing and leaving out, or finally getting out or whatever. So this documentary to me was an opportunity, I think, to reflect on some of those feelings. And I had a lot of catharsis, I think, in the creation of it because of that. I love the Valley. It's like family. The people in the Valley, it's like returning home, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of my feelings about that are represented in the movie.
Pembroke has a certain allure about it. It's like you hate it, you want to get rid of it, you want to shed it, and you get as far away from it as possible. But at the same time, I mean, it's home. And even the people you dislike, you like them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Preserving memories, it has been an important thing in my life. I've had cameras growing up. My parents used to rent this VHS camera and record our birthdays and the big events of your life. So I think I adopted a lot of their probably sentimentality. I don't know, I think part of my desire to be a filmmaker kind of stems from sentimentality. Alzheimer's runs in my family. And one day I have this fear that I will not know who I am anymore, or kind of who anyone is, and that a lot of my memories will be forgotten because my brain is no longer firing synapses. And so preserving the memories to me feels a little more urgent in the way of, like, it's partly about identity. It's about like, oh yeah, this is who I am. It's partly like, I can see myself on camera and kind of know who I am that way. Ty, so nice of you to see yourself.
Yeah, we're back for a second day of shooting The Scoop.
Oh, did you want to switch the cameras around?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Want to do a close-up on this one?
Sure. All right, buddy. Well, what do you say?
Ask me a question. Usually, I'm the one asking the questions.
You're right.
It's pretty cool.
I'm not usually the interviewer, right? How does it feel to be the interviewer?
I think interviewing, especially in Heart of the Valley, well, I don't know. I've only done Heart of the Valley so far. Interviewing for documentary is a license to ask people questions that they normally wouldn't talk to you about or that wouldn't come up in normal conversation. I was asking people if they were afraid of dying. I was asking people, like, I don't know, what their biggest dreams in life were, like what their regrets were, like all in an hour, you know?
Yeah.
Things that you'd take like a lifetime to talk about with your closest friends sometimes.
Right.
Or that may never even come up in some relationships. And I really enjoyed just having like free reign to ask people whatever I wanted to. Within reason, I guess. But
it's a privilege, I think, to be able to do that in a documentary setting.
yeah.
Documentary, like you said, provides that opportunity to get underneath people's, the layers that they've built and a lot of the social kind of norms that people have and ideas, and just to get to the heart of what a person is and truly believes.
Yeah, and with the camera, the element of the camera too, because everybody's so afraid of the camera, myself included, honestly, like less so now, but before I started getting involved with film and like, I don't know, being in front of the camera often enough to get used to it, I would like clam up and just like shut right down in front of the camera and like kind of lose all the thoughts that I'd had.
Yes.
And going through the process with somebody in an interview where you're like at once asking them questions and then also trying to get them comfortable in an environment that's like pretty inherently uncomfortable. Also, I really enjoyed that process and like kind of trying to show a lot of empathy and trying to be like very encouraging and being like, no, you're doing a good job. Like this makes sense. You're a interesting person and we chose you to interview for a reason. Like, it's a very kind of intimate place to be with somebody, I think. And I really enjoyed that.
Why did you make this movie? What was this to you?
I think for a lot of my young life here, like in my teenage years, I had this feeling like there was something more out there, that like the Valley wasn't really real life, and that when I did get out of high school and go move to the city, that I would then be in real life and then would start to become a full person, if that makes sense. And I even think that perspective led to me, when I did go to the city, feeling like I was not as worthy as other people who were there because I hadn't had like the same kinds of experiences as them or something, or I was from this like insignificant little town, tiny little town,
Yeah.
And then I think part of like growing my even self-confidence in my later years of life has been being like, oh, this is like cool and weird and interesting just as much as any other place, And like, learning to love the Valley has kind of been like learning to love myself in a way.
Yeah, what have you thought about the reception of the doc so far?
Well, kind of like you said, I think our screening event was like a euphoria high of like people lining up to tell us we did an amazing job and like, I don't know how cool it was. And a lot of that has carried over to the people that watch it in my life. They think it's cool and interesting. But I think I have noticed a consistent thing being that people are like, where's the thread of this, or where's the hook? And I think that's valid. That's a valid critique.
Yeah.
It wasn't our intention to have one, and I still stand by that intention. But I think what I'm taking away from that is that hooks are interesting. They're not just like corny like things.
Right.
And I want to explore that in my next projects.
Like growing up here, I forced a lot of my friends to act in my movies. I think that they wanted to, like they wanted to see the vision kind of come through, but a lot of it didn't really add up to them. It didn't really make sense. And so with making movies growing up, it was, you had to fight for it a bit, right? Because like the idea of being artistic isn't as recognized here. There's a lot of emphasis on the trades. There's a lot of emphasis on working these jobs that pay well, maybe, things along those lines.
This is like one of our friggin' old videos that we always used to make.
Yeah, no. You know, one of our interview subjects, my grandma, was like, asked us if we'd ever thought of working in a trade immediately after doing an interview with her.
I think that you're better off with a trade than, well, I don't know, I guess sciences is okay, but you don't like science, but other forms, you're more apt to get a job.
Yeah.
And if you can do many different things, hey, people like that.
What she said there to you was kind of encompassing of a lot of the perspectives around here, you know? I just watched this clip last night from Dead Poets Society. It's with Robin Williams and the students, and he's talking about how poetry needs to exist in the world, because if poetry didn't exist, there wouldn't almost be a reason to keep fighting to live, in a way. Pursuing the trades and pursuing engineering and things like that, those are all noble things. And those are the things that we need to sustain life. But poetry and the arts is what we need to want to sustain life.